Thank you very much for staying with Facing the Nation. If you're now joining us, you missed an interesting conversation. And viewers, by now you know I get excited with and about unique things. It was really, that conversation was really so different. I mean, I got more than I bargained for when I invited Mr. Thorne to come to Facing the Nation and talk about True Vision Foundation. I knew he was going to come to talk about the foundation and what it is doing and so on, especially in the areas of mining, to provide for the especially young men who are unemployed of the All Boys Town community. I knew that he was going to come to talk about that, but he brought another guest and we got so much out of it. We even heard about some of the concerns and so on in the mining sector, and the fact that these gentlemen and so many of their other supporters and contributors believe that syndicates are the way to go in terms of the mining community. Of course, as you know, for those of you who know me, you would know that this is a different field for me, a new area, but it's all in the learning process, and I'm really happy when I can get guests like these to come on, because I know it enlightens you. If you're not a miner, or you don't come from a mining background or a natural resource background, so to speak, these are not things that you pay attention to. But it is reminding us that as citizens, even the areas that we don't like or we're not too familiar with, we should pay attention to those areas, because all of us can benefit in whatever small way. If not you directly, somebody close to you or an organization could benefit. And at the end of the day, it's about developing our country and ensuring that our entire nation benefit from whatever project and so on, especially when it comes to our sector, our natural resources sector. And of course, that is why we have a Ministry of Natural Resources to ensure that everything goes well in those communities. And I think what is happening now too is people are coming out of their comfort zones and paying more attention to what happens in mining areas and mining communities and so on, and as it relates to natural resources, especially since everybody's talking about oil. I mean, you have people who have never heard of Guyana before 2015 and 2016 talking about Guyana's oil now, and the people outside of our country are trying to figure out how they can benefit, how they can cash in on this. So I think it is high time that we in Guyana, we at home here, get excited and encourage the government, because I mean, a month ago I did have Minister Trotman on this very program talking about what they're putting in place for us to ensure that we protect what is ours. Because even though we're inviting all of these people to come in and bring their expertise and their ideas and so on, we have to be very mindful of the ones who are going to come and be very unscrupulous and try to use a term that everybody understands, hoodwink us and try to take what is ours. So I am happy to see that smaller groups like what is going to be the All Boys Town Syndicate or Mr. Garfield Wins grouping, I am happy to see them coming on board, and I am hoping that they can really benefit really and truly in a big way. It's amazing how time flies on this program. We did promise you that you'll be having a part of the Minister of State's presentation, post-cabinet presentation yesterday, that was held, as always, held at the Ministry of the Presidency. Before I do that though, there are lots of things that's happening, especially PR wise and so on, and reporting wise. I want to urge Guyanese again, because I keep seeing some things, people are misquoting, people are misleading others, they're getting things wrong. And a perfect example is the fact that yesterday the Ministry of the Presidency had to call for the retraction of misleading report, a misleading statement in the Guyana Times editorial. I really feel that I should read this for you quickly. This is just to enlighten you and to remind you that there are unscrupulous people out there who are trying to twist what government is doing, especially if it's going to benefit the people, and put things in a negative light. And in the political environment, this is what will happen. So I'd like to remind you just, to keep on your guard, stay on your guard. Don't just pull everything and swallow everything that you hear people say. Read for yourselves, observe for yourselves, do some research. And I definitely think that I should read this to you. I'm going to read it quickly before we go to Minister Harmon's press briefing. That is how much of it we can show. But the Ministry of the Presidency condemns the misinformation published in the Guyana Times editorial on the 2nd of March. And we know when we hear Guyana Times who they're associated with. under the headline Democratic Backsliding, which purported that President David Granger will appoint his own chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM. This statement is patently false. The head of state on several occasions explained that his only interest is ensuring that the person appointed to the post of chairman, meaning chairman of GCOM, meets the requirements as outlined in the Constitution of Guyana. This position, which has remained unchanged, is a matter of public record, and as such, one can only deduce that this was a deliberate attempt by the Guyana Times to create mischief. And that is what a whole lot of them who call themselves journalists or media houses, that is what they're doing. In mid-January, on the ministry's television program, The Public Interest, the president said that, and this is a direct quote from His Excellency, "I don't have a candidate in mind. I have a qualification in mind. I want someone who satisfies the constitutional requirement." He further stated, however, that, quote, "The Constitution is clear that once the leader of the opposition fails to submit a list of persons who are not unacceptable, I will have to make a choice, but I will choose someone who is acceptable to both sides and who the general public is satisfied with." And of course, the ministry therefore called on the Guyana Times to retract their erroneous statement. I read that to remind you, please be on your guard. Remember, there are unscrupulous persons who are out to make His Excellency and the government, of course, and by extension the government, look bad, and to try to twist things to make it look as though the president is breaking the law, or he's going to force things down your throat. This is not how the AFC APNU administration operates. I'm sorry, but we are not the immediate past regime. APNU AFC government does not operate like that. But you know what? When people are accustomed to one thing, what is it that we say? What a man does, so he thinks. So, and again, let me remind you, you know who Guyana Times is associated with or connected to. On that note, I will ask our operator now to pull up the part of Minister Harmon, the Minister of State's post-cabinet press briefing yesterday. Unfortunately, we're only going to be able to show you about 15 minutes of it. But in 15 minutes, you can get some ideas of what is happening with the government. This is Facing the Nation.
This morning, a conference on sustainable land use and land development at the Marriott, at which I had to make some remarks. That went on for a little bit, so you'll understand the importance of land management in this country. So first, let me apologize for the late start. And as sort of a makeup, I will actually be dealing with two cabinet engagements. The first was the cabinet meeting held on the 21st of February 2017, and a ministerial conference which was held on the 28th of February 2017. I'll deal first of all with the issues which came out of the meeting of the 21st of February 2017 at the Cabinet. At that meeting, the Honorable Minister of Social Protection presented the Cabinet the annual report for 2015 for the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund Committee. The Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund Committee was established by law in 1947 to provide for the improvement of social and public health conditions among workers in the sugar industry, with special reference to housing, sanitation, potable water supply, and recreational facilities. Cabinet accepted the report and directed that it be laid in the National Assembly as required. Cabinet has approved the attendance at the 61st meeting of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, to be held at the United Nations headquarters in New York, USA, from 13th to the 24th of March 2017. The meeting will be held under the theme, Women's Economic Empowerment in the Changing World of Work. The Commission, which functions under the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, is a global policy-making body dedicated to promoting gender equality and empowerment of women. It has a mandate to promote women's rights in the political, economic, civil, social, and economic fields. Guyana holds the chair for the Caribbean and will present a statement on behalf of the regional member states. The Guyana delegation will comprise Honorable Minister Amna Ali, who is the Minister of Social Protection, Honorable Member Minister Walter Lawrence, who was the previous Minister of Social Protection and holds the chair's position. He is now the Minister of Public Health, and Mrs. Hazel Halley Burnett, Gender Consultant to Ministry of Social Protection. The Honorable Minister of Finance will attend the annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, and the Inter-American Investment Corporation, IIC, to be held in Asuncion, Paraguay, from March 29 to April 2nd, 2017. The 2017 annual meeting will allow the Honorable Minister of Finance to engage in bilateral discussions with the President and other senior officials of the IDB and other development partners in an effort to mobilize support as well as technical and financial resources for developmental projects in Guyana. The Honorable Minister of Finance will also attend the 13th meeting of the Latin American and Caribbean Debt Group to be held in Buenos Aires, Argentina from the 3rd of April to the 6th of April 2017. This meeting is the main forum of discussions for the management of public debt in member countries. Cabinet has approved the attendance at a Caribbean Sugar Conference to be held in Montego Bay, Jamaica from March 23 to 24th, 2017. This conference will be a meeting of CARICOM sugar stakeholders and will be hosted by the Caribbean Council and Sugar Association of the Caribbean. The meeting will seek to coordinate regional responses to the sugar industry challenges in the Caribbean, and some of the expected outcomes would be: 1. The preparation of a detailed report for presentation to CARICOM heads of government on the pathway to implementing a common external tariff on sugar imports to create a more vibrant market for Caribbean sugar products. Secondly, there will be consideration of a policy framework which would benefit Caribbean producers. Thirdly, the development of policy ideas for diversifying sugar industries to better adapt to the new economic climate. And finally, the communication of these ideas to governments, businesses, and development community. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Noel Holder, will attend that meeting. Guyana will attend a symposium organized by the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, CARICAD, under the project Support for South-South Cooperation, CARICAD CLAD Partnership, to be held in Antigua and Barbuda from March 9th to the 10th, 2017. The symposium will have as its objectives to obtain commitment to a charter for Caribbean public services, to establish the importance of public service transformation for social and economic development, to facilitate the exchange of views between the public and private sectors, and to identify public policy initiatives aimed at productivity in the workplace. Mr. Reginald Burdeson, Permanent Secretary, Department of the Public Service, Ministry of the Presidency, will attend the symposium. Approval was granted for the participation at the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Teachers Training Workshop to be held in St. Kitts from March 29 to 30th, 2017. The workshop, organized by the Caribbean Science Foundation, CSF, and the Caribbean Academy of Sciences, will focus on having teachers expand their understanding of how students learn science. identifying strategies for STEM-based science teaching, and increasing the confidence of teachers in their planning, teaching, and assessment approaches. Mrs. Petal Punalal Jetu, the National Science Coordinator at the National Center for Education Resource Development, NSERD, will attend the workshop. Cabinet has noted the awards of contracts by the procurement entities and the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board as follows. One, for the rehabilitation of Warima Guest House at the Burusiri Conservancy Region Number 3, a contract for the sum of $28,008,000. Contract awarded to International Import and Supplies. For the rehabilitation of a guest house at Lama in the East Demerara River Conservancy Region Number 4, contract in the sum of $21,812,000, awarded to International Import and Supplies. For the procurement of CCTV surveillance systems for the Guyana Prison Service, for the sum of $23,298,000, contract awarded to NT Computic. For the procurement of computers for the Guyana Police Force, Lot 1, contract in the sum of $17,323,000, a contract awarded to Micro Designs Technology. And Lot 2, for the sum of $15 million, a contract awarded to NT Computic. For the installation of LED highway lights on sections of the Essequibo Public Road, a contract in the sum of $15,979,000. That contract was awarded to Cummins Electrical. And this is an important feature, the LED lights on the section of the Essequibo Coast Public Road. For the provision of consultancy services for engineering designs and supervision of works, rehabilitation of drainage and irrigation works at Buxton, Ithaca, and Triumph, a contract in the sum of $94,955,000, a contract awarded to SRK Engineering. For the operation and security of NDIA mobile and fixed pumps within regions number 2, 3, and 4, a contract in the sum of $34,090,000 awarded to General Engineering Supplies and Services, Inc. For the rehabilitation of 25 pontoons and fabrication of 30 buoys and 40 pairs of connecting end posts to the Demerara Harbor Bridge, a contract in the sum of $177,918,000 to Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited. In fact, this was a request for an increase in the sum of $8,189,000 on the previous contract because the scope of work had changed. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIA hydraulic equipment, that is excavators, in region number 2, a contract in the sum of $32,760,000 awarded to Mirage Contracting Services. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIA hydraulic excavators in region number 3, a contract in the sum of $32,850,000, contract awarded to S. Mirage Contracting Services. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIS excavators on the east coast of Demerara, region number 4, contract in the sum of $59,130,000, contract awarded to STP Investments. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIA excavators in region number 4, for the sum of $32,850,000, another contract awarded to MK Hussein Contracting. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIA excavators and pontoons to dredge the outfall channels in regions number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10, contract in the sum of $21,900,000 awarded to S. Maraj Contracting Services. For the operation, servicing, and monitoring of NDIA track type dozer in regions number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, a contract in the sum of $39,312,000 to STP Investment. For consultancy services to implement a skills training program for at-risk youth in the Ministry of Public Security, a contract for the sum of $321,725 United States dollars, and that contract was awarded to Small Business Bureau. For the operation, security, and monitoring of East Demerara Water Conservancy dams and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority excavators from January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2017, a contract in the sum of $83,220,000 awarded to the East Demerara Water Conservancy Board. For the construction of a relief structure at Good Hope Essequibo Coast Region Number 2 for the sum of $27,095,000, a contract awarded to M. Sukai Construction. For the construction and
all right, don't be too upset with me. Unfortunately, we had to cut that. What I'll try to do, depending on what happens at next week's post-cabinet press briefing, if the issues are not too new, I will try my very best to combine, because what you would have heard him basically talking about there would have been the contracts and so on that would have been approved for works and so on to begin. So in a sense, it is still giving you information, because you know where state funds, where state money is going, and what some of the decisions are being made. But of course, this is television. In the essence of time, I can't show you all of that, every single thing on a live program. And I really had to stretch that interview out earlier, that conversation earlier with those two gentlemen. Before, of course, I'm about to wrap up today's program, but before I do that, I don't want to forget the mining groups, the small mining groups. They're having a meeting on Monday. The gentleman did say it on the program earlier, but I thought it fit to remind you. It's going to be on Monday at the Square of the Revolution, beginning 9 a.m. sharp, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're asking all the miners to wear a white t-shirt. Go and support, go listen to them. It will benefit all of you in the end. Let me also remind you that those meetings are continuing at Congress Place, Sophia. As we speak right now, one of our ministers is probably wrapping up the day's business. Let me also tell you, for those of you who don't know, last week I did tell you that the Minister of State, Joseph Harmon, he would have been at Congress Place from 10 to 2, but and this is really wonderful. It tells you that the government is going the extra mile and so on to ensure that the people who put them in office benefit. The Minister of State was actually at Congress Place until after 4 last week. So he went 2 hours extra, and obviously it would have been more than 2 hours, because when I left Congress Place, he was still there. So our ministers are working. Again, those of you, I am not sure. I don't have my schedule right now, so I can't remind you which minister is going to be on next week, but those of you who follow me on social media, I'll get the information for you before the end of the day. I know lots going on and the brain is getting old, so I can't keep everything up here, but I can tell you now, a minister is at Congress Place meeting with the people who want to walk into Congress Place to see our ministers and who have issues and so on, and they necessarily can't get to the offices. That's about it for today. I also want to remind you, I did prepare you last week for Lenten season, which started on Ash Wednesday, which would have been this last Wednesday. We're in the Lenten season. Again, I urged you last week to try not to be tempted by the devil, and he's going to come in all shapes and forms. I'm reminding you again this week. We're in the Lenten season. Let's keep it as peaceful and as solemn as we possibly can. I have another great program for you next week, but this is all the time I have on this program for you this week. Again, thank you so very much to my two guests, and of course, it has been a pleasure. I am Malika Ramsey. I always urge you, be good Guyanese citizens, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, join me again next week. This has been Facing the Nation.